Hi.
Hi, we're back. I am Kathy Zalewski with Realty One Group Peak in Bozeman, Montana.
And I'm Kayla Henry. I am also at Realty One Group Peak.
So we are coming to you today live from my back patio, and we're going to talk quickly about
Hopefully.
property. Yeah, hopefully, about property tax assessments. So certainly in um, Belgrade specifically, but definitely parts of Bozeman in the last year, we've seen property taxes increase, which means that your assessment went up. The state thinks that your property is more valuable now than it used to be, so they want you to pay more property tax. Now, there is a specific way that you can appeal
And
that.
I think really quick, maybe we'll just give a little bit of a
Yeah.
background on property taxes.
Okay.
So, like Kathy mentioned, it's the state that assesses properties, not Gallatin County or whatever county you may live in.
Broadwater, whatever.
Yeah, so it is a state assessment. So you're really dealing with what the state's opinion is. And then for our area, or I think for Montana as a whole, it's property taxes are reassessed every 2 years.
Yes.
So we're in a 2 year cycle, um, where they're setting appraisers out or reassessing every single property. Um, and I think that's really the key pieces we
Right.
wanted to touch on.
So the next appraisal process for the state in terms of assessing property values will be in 2027. So that's why people that are paying their property taxes from 2025, because you pay your property taxes in arrears, um, are in that potential appeal process right now.
Yeah, and then I think the other thing, you might be able to speak to this a little better, Kathy, because you've practiced real estate in other states, but um, Montana does not change your property taxes based off of your sales price, right? So
Right.
it is a true assessment. So I know in other states, I've heard of folks, help folks purchase homes from California. And I do believe that if you buy a home for $1 million, the state will then tax you on $1 million worth of real estate.
Well, and then every time the property sells, it gets, yeah. So we're
Your
not
taxes
in.
go up if it goes up.
Right. We're
Yeah.
not in that. And this is kind of why there's this issue right now, because we, like every other place in the nation, experienced a huge bump increase in value during the COVID time frame. And then it was a while before the state could get caught up to the values that had gone up.
And even now, I would say it's not super uncommon to find a tax assessed value being very different from your market value,
Hmm.
right? So those are two very different pieces, specifically in Montana, where your tax assessed value doesn't always equal what your market value may or may not be,
Right.
for better or for worse,
Right.
right?
So, what we want to talk about specifically is that there is an appeal process. So, if you feel that the state has miscalculated the value of your home and therefore charged you
Too much,
too
right? You
much
don't want
property
to
tax,
appeal if it's lower.
right? Don't appeal if
Duh.
it's lower. Um, and that is also happening in some areas, like in Belgrade, Texas, they went up and then they went down.
Yeah.
So your first line of the first thing you should know is that you have 30 days to contest the valuation of your property from the date of your classification and appraisal notice.
And so that's something that they will mail to you, which is why it's really important to keep your mailing address up to date with Gallatin County, because they are the ones that are sending it out. So again, not to beat a dead horse, but the state assesses property values, but then Gallatin County or whatever county you're living in is the one who sends the notices.
Right.
So making sure that your current mailing address or wherever you receive mail is up to date with the county will make sure that you get this information in that timely basis.
Right. So if you bought the home when you were living in,
In the home,
right,
right?
right.
But then
Well,
you moved.
right. So let's say it's a vacation home and your tax bill gets sent to Arizona because you vacation here in the summer and you live in Arizona in the winter. So the tax bill in the winter goes to Arizona. But now suddenly no more Arizona, you just live here permanently. Well, that tax bill is going to be going around the mail loop for a while before it finds you,
Mhm.
unless you have updated your mailing address on your tax record for your property here.
And you can do that by calling the county. I think you can even mail them if you want, and you can update it online. You can also pull your property tax values online. We
Yes.
will put the link
Yes, in
down
the
below.
video. So, okay. So, now step number 1, make sure that you have the right mailing address. And you can do that anytime, any point through the year online. No problem. Okay. Step number 2 is if you get it and the classification and appraisal notice and it looks like they've appraised your property too high, there are two routes. And the first and easiest route is to file a form AB 26.
Yep.
Okay.
And so this will request an informal review of your property. You will need to, of course, explain why you think the value is too high, and it is possible that an appraiser may come out to your property to see to view the property themselves in person. Sometimes they're doing that regardless. Sometimes they're not, but that may trigger someone to visit your property. And so again, just to be really clear, make sure that if you feel like you're contesting something that how do I want to say this?
Okay, so here's the deal. Be aware that somebody from the state, don't hire your own appraiser if you're contesting the value of your property. That there will be somebody, a state appraiser, and that appraisal, as we have a video on appraisals, and there's all sorts of different kinds of ways people appraise properties. The state appraiser that would come to look at your home may or may not. Okay, it's a possibility. We're just letting you know it's a possibility, but they are a state appraiser. Okay, so you want to explain why you believe that the property value was off, and it might include maybe potential comps in the neighborhood, if you can get those from maybe a realtor friend of yours. What other homes near yours have sold for that were similar floor plans, similar square footage, similar lot size, something like that. Also, if you have if there's something about your property that has changed substantially, and probably like, hey, we got rid of that barn, or we got rid of that whatever, which might bring your property value down. That's another thing. Maybe you sold off part of the property and they didn't catch it, something like that. Anyway, file form AB 26. What we have heard from the state person that gave this seminar to us was that, generally speaking, if you filed form AB 26 in advance or on time,
within that 30 days,
right, most of the time they're going to give you that valuation.
I think it was 2/3, and again, you had to prove it, but they were like, yeah, we did miss something. We'll take the value you assigned to it, or maybe a value we both agree on, or something along those lines.
Right. So
so it is effective.
Yeah. So form AB 26 is like the path of least resistance.
Yes.
Okay. So if that does not work, or you don't do that, there is also an option to file a grievance with the tax appeal board. Okay. So that ends up being like, which is good, local 9 community members. So people that live in your community, whether that's Bozeman or Belgrade or Churchill. Is Churchill still in Gallatin County? Or Gallatin Gateway. So they're members that live in your community. So they will have a feel. It's not like they're coming from Helena and they don't understand what Bozeman real estate is like.
And the most important thing too, they are just community members. So I know for our tax board, a realtor sits on it. There's an accountant that sits on it. Somebody that works, in the tax department with Gallatin County sits on it. But again, they don't work for the state. So I would say that it's professionals that are somewhat versed in property taxes, and those types of things. But then I think you could also just have maybe a teacher that sits on it, right? It is truly just community members, so theoretically, or it is unbiased.
And most importantly, they're local.
Yeah.
Right. So they do understand the community, why some property is more valuable than others, or why your property may suddenly be less valuable. Honestly, sometimes that has to do with some of the development that's going on, especially here in Bozeman. It's like, whoa, sure. Hey, I did have this valuable piece of property, but now they put up this giant apartment complex next door. So I would say that my property value should be less because now I have this thing.
So each person serves a 3-year term, and they're kind of constantly cycling in and out or out. And it's more like a court setting. So this is where you gather your evidence, you bring it to the hearing, and you get kind of that one day to prove your case.
Yeah.
And then they vote on it. I do think from the gentleman who gave this speech, he said it was less favorable most often for the people doing the process, and it was harder and more work. So
right. So file the AB 26.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way. And the thing he also said, you don't have to do that AB 26 first. You can do them in different orders, but that was definitely his recommended route because it seems to be the path of least resistance, and see good results.
Yeah. So this is a common thing, and not just necessarily here in Gallatin County. But there is a path, and it can be relatively easy. But if you are really upset about what your new tax value looks like, don't hesitate to give us a call. We can help walk you through it. We can point you to where the forms are. And like we said, we'll put the link so that you can check out your tax bill in advance, even prior to getting it in the mail. You'll be able to know and see if your assessed value has gone up. So,
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. I hope that was helpful. We'll see you in the next one.
yeah, have a great day. Thank you. Oh, don't forget to subscribe and like. We like that when you do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.